The NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBet. WynnBet is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. So many states, I can't read them all. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBet has what you need to win. Bet $100 and get $100 at WynnBet.com or download the WynnBet app and start winning today. State restrictions apply. We're also brought to you by the DJ and Dance. Our March Madness Bankroll contest is back. It's free to enter, and $1,000 in cash and prizes is up for grabs. Plus, we've got a first half under bingo. Enter both contests now on the SGPN app.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
The books may try to stop us, but they cannot stop us from talking racing things. It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, powering through 600 cans of Red Bull to bring you tonight's episode, even though the books are very behind on putting out odds. You would think that we are going to put out the truck episode like we normally do, but no, the books are slow on the trucks, but they did give us some Xfinity odds. So we will flip the script this week, give you Xfinity tonight. We'll give you a truck tomorrow. And then of course, follow up with our Cup Series and DFS to close out the week. But Cody, buddy, They try to keep us down, but we don't let them.
They're scared, Rod. They are scared of us, and they should be. It's a super speedway week. This means we get to throw a lot of darts, throw a lot of big bets out there, hope one or two hits. Super speedways are so much fun to watch. Some of the best racing you get. Some of the most fun to bet on. Most nerve-wracking as well, maybe. But, yeah, they're holding off on the Truck Series. They don't know what to do yet, so that's all right. We'll give them another day. We got Xfinity at least, and found some good ones. I'm excited for this card.
There was a saying once upon a time when I was active duty in the Army. There's like, if you're scared, buy a dog. So I want all you guys to go out and buy a dog if you're scared, because yes, definitely the DGen army of the SGPN world is coming after you, books.
That's right. Here we come. We're already we started off March Madness with our first half under hitting in the first game. It's 1-1 now after the second game, but that's all right. It was a strong start to go 1-0. So here we come, just building up that bankroll for a weekend of betting on basketball, betting on racing, all three series in action. Man, I'm pumped.
And F1. I mean, it's
and
all.
Yes, F1's back. Shout out to the F1 Gambling Podcast. Two of the best hosts in the world over there. I've heard.
Those guys are good. Yeah.
Those guys are great. They don't know a ton about F1, but they're good at betting on it.
That is a glow. Somebody, I think you should leave that.
Somebody go leave that review for us.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
wait a minute.
As long as it's 5 stars, I don't care if you say,
yeah.
These guys don't know nothing, but it's 5 stars. So great entertainment value.
As long as we know what we're talking about for the betting part of it, that's all that matters.
Exactly. We speak that language. But we definitely speak NASCAR language. So like I said, it is going to be Xfinity today. It will be the Raptor King of Tough 250 over there on the Atlanta Motor, it's the Atlanta Motor Speedway, but we know it now as the Atlanta Motor Super Speedway, as now they have done a damn good job of making this a much wilder race over there in Atlanta. For this race, we are set for 163 laps on this 1.5 mile paved super speedway. It is 251 miles. Just like we said, they tightened up this race a little bit. They made it where you can go 3 wide and draft and all this stuff. I was putting together my weekly article for Sportsbook Review, and I made a couple of notes as far as some of the things. in the Cup race, in particular, it was a glowing difference between the race before and the race now. For Xfinity, a little bit tame, but it was 17 lead changes in the fall, 1,486 green flag passes. This is all in 163 laps, mind you. So 17 lead changes, 1,486, which come out to about 11 per green flag. Austin Hill was the winner here last fall to take home that one. Josh Berry, Ryan Truex, Tyler Reddick, and Daniel Hemrick rounded out the top 5. In the spring, when this was the Naley Cars 250, there was 11 lead changes, 3,126 green flag passes on this track. Insane. The margin of victory between Ty Gibbs and Austin Hill, 0.178. And then we go back to the 2021 race, 16 lead changes, 1,896 green flag passes. So it doesn't seem quite as different in between the Xfinity race as it does the Cup race, but this is still some pretty crazy racing and super speedway style racing, regardless of what it looks like on paper.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I mean, we're going to say super speedway all week while we're talking about it. We're going to compare statistics from Daytona and Talladega. It's not exactly those because it is a little bit of a smaller track. Of course, you're cutting about a mile off. So it is more compact, but they're wide open. They're going to be drafting. It's going to be 2x2. You might see a little bit of 3 wides. It's not going to be as easy to go 3 wide as Daytona and Talladega because it is a short, skinnier track. It's not quite as wide. But should be action-packed racing. There's going to be the big wrecks that the super speedways provide, which means, again, going into a super speedway, more so that you should do this every week, but more so than any week, just count on all these bets to lose and be happy with whatever cashes. Hopefully you hit a big one or two. And anybody can win these races. Anybody can get top finishes. Anybody can win head-to-heads because shit is just going to be so crazy. Also, one thing that is going to be different this year, they moved the commitment line for the pit lane. I don't know if you saw this, Rod, all the way back to turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and there's still been some discussion on potential, maybe they have 2 different speed limits or not, but as of right now, the commitment line is on the back of the backstretch at the beginning of turn 3. So if they're going to pit during green flags, they're going to have to slow down on the backstretch, get down to pit road speed, go all the way through turn 3, all the way through turn 4, onto pit road, not speeding that entire time. So there is likely going to be a plethora of speeding penalties this weekend. That could go either way because if you get a speeding penalty early, you're kind of out of the pack and you miss the big ones. That might actually be decent for you. It could put you way behind the 8 ball and never recover. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. I would expect more speeding penalties this week than we've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, and they did that because they didn't want the drivers to come blaring through like they did before. I mean, what was it before at the end of turn 4, right? So
right, yeah, just the normal entrance of pit road, basically. And yeah, they feel like with these speeds, with the draft being used and everything, it's gonna be a little more safer to put it farther back, but it is going to make for interesting for when they do make green flag pit stops. Especially some of these guys in the lower series. I mean, the Cup guys speed all the time too. Guys like Kyle Busch, guys like Brad Keselowski, they push it so much they get caught speeding a lot. That's a long time. It's not like F1 where they literally have cruise control in F1 on pit road. And I believe IndyCar is the same way. Like you just hit the button and it takes you the proper speed. NASCAR doesn't have that, and they don't have speedometers, so it's not keep it under 45. You got to match up the lights. You got to match up the RPMs. It's not very easy.
No, it's like landing a ship or a plane on a ship. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. It's way easier than that. But it is pretty difficult. Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
it is.
And so here's the thing too. When it comes to that, obviously you on a normal super speedway, you have, like you had said before, that extra mile, literally the extra mile that you can kind of coast and gauge. But a mile and a half at those speeds, that comes at you quick. So adjustments, they'll have to be made within a fraction of a second. So yeah, this is going to be a very interesting experiment, and to see how many people get nabbed for speeding, especially in that first pit sequence, because if it's a green flag pit sequence, I mean, and who knows how many we're going to get too, honestly. This because there could be enough cautions to sort of bunch the field back up and keep them pitting, which again is something we're going to have to pay attention to as well.
Right. Yeah. And you just never know. And another thing too, there is not practice for any series this weekend. So they are not going to have practice. They'll get a shot of practice on pit road, Bob Pockris says, following their qualifying lap. Basically, that's going to be your chance to get your practice in. Beyond that, he says, beyond entry, there'll also be the element of going pit road speed on the apron. Yeah, we already talked about that. And he says there won't be a different speed from the commitment line to turn 4. So it is going to be the one pit road speed for the entire thing. So that's going to be interesting.
As if we weren't already in for a wild ride this weekend. This is going to throw a gigantic wrench into the whole thing, and all 3 series. It's best believe though, these Xfinity guys, they're going to have the opportunity to watch the trucks. I mean, and obviously the trucks to a lesser degree don't necessarily have the same sort of, I guess, handling tendencies as their cars, but I mean, the concept is still the same. Can you get down to pit road speed? And obviously for the trucks, it's still just quite as difficult. Can you do that in the time they're given? Right. I mean, we're going to learn that. Now we're going to learn Friday night, whether or not that's, first of all, possible. And second of all, the Xfinity guys are going to show us whether or not it's really possible.
Yeah. They're going to have to figure it out quick, figure it out on the fly, but that's why they get paid to do it, I guess.
I will tell you though, that none of our bets really surround that. I mean,
I mean, the only thing is it could really hurt a bet if somebody gets caught speeding. So just, I mean, there's no way to handicap that or anything. So it's just a shit show, but just something to watch out for on this track. That's going to be different from when we were here last season. And again, too, just a reminder too, if you're looking back, if you're doing your own research, looking back, Atlanta, I wouldn't look past last year's results on anything, right? Because they repaved the track last year. That's when it switched to the super speedway style. And then again, every statistic I'm going to use is going to be Atlanta last year and Daytona Talladega performances, because that seems to be what's going to translate the most to this track and this style of racing. And we saw that both times we visited here last season with these series.
What do you mean you can't handicap a pit road speeding penalty, Cody? What, you're supposed to be the best in the business. All right.
Well, I mean, if you really want to break down who gets caught speeding a lot, I already told you it's Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. So buyer beware.
It's true. Yeah, those guys suffer so badly. All right, and you're absolutely right. So, in fact, it's a good segue into the final part of the race preview. Anyways, is that when you are going back to do your research, I know people always like to bring up comp tracks and everything like that, and there's really no comparable track to Atlanta other than Atlanta last year, because it's the only 1.5 mile super speedway in the entire circuit. You can go ahead and look at Daytona. We will. You can go ahead and look at Talladega. We will. We'll give you some of the looks back at what they've done on the super speedways, but just understand this is still a completely different animal altogether. These Xfinity racers aren't racing the type of package that the Cup guys are, obviously. And so it's just, there's a complete madness. And then, of course, we also know Ty Gibbs no more, AJ Allmendinger no more, Noah Gragson no more. Like, all those guys have moved on to the Cup Series. And so now we're left behind with the folks that were left behind. So we'll bring up a lot of those names. A lot of them we talked about last week too. So just a lot of stuff to take into account. But the heaviest thing that weighs on this is how they did last year, especially with the Xfinity guys, because they've been running the same cars for a very long time. And so you can kind of compare even this year with the Cup Series cars, and we'll get to that in a little while too. It's kind of not even comparable because it's just the way they've keep changing these cars and keep changing everything that's going on with them.
Yeah. And then too, just a note, one Cup Series guy entered. Justin Haley's going to be in the number 10 car. And don't be confused if you see Chastain in the 91. That is Chad Chastain, not Ross. That is Ross's I think he's a little brother, but brother either way. So don't go thinking that's Ross. Chad is not Ross for sure.
That is the cantaloupe man.
Yes,
he is not the watermelon man.
Yeah. He's the whatever a lesser fruit than a watermelon is. That's what Chad is.
Oh, sorry, Chad. You're probably a great guy.
Chad, yeah,
Let's have a
sure
beer.
you are. Let's have a watermelon together sometime.
Let's have a watermelon beer together. Oh, those are good. All right.
Yes.
We've already digressed into beer talk last time, so let's not do that again. We'll have to do a NASCAR Gambling Podcast after hours beer party with the listeners. If you guys want that, join Discord. Tell us that you want to do that.
A couple other quick notes to hit too, just real fast. Jimmy Johnson, Rod's not allowed to speak on this, but he's confirmed officially for COTA, which I believe is actually next week, and he will also be racing in the Coca-Cola 600. Is COTA next week? COTA is next week, so that'll be great. We'll see him there. It's going to be, man, we'll get into that next week, obviously, but loaded field with all these F1 guys, IndyCar guys, Jimmy Johnson. Gonna be exciting. So, yeah, we'll definitely get into that. Denny Hamlin, potentially in some hot water. He said on his Actions Detrimental podcast that he's doing now that he basically wrecked Ross Chastain on purpose. And that's great. And I love that he's honest about that. But NASCAR is now looking into that because they heard that as well. We'll see if there's a penalty from there. William Byron admitted to wrecking, I can't remember who it was last year, but basically in the post race, he said, yeah, I wrecked him. And he got fined and he was docked points. They overturned the points in the appeal process, and so then they doubled the fine. So he just got, I think he was fined $50,000. I would expect maybe Hamlin gets fined, which whatever. Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, Bubba was also suspended later in the season for wrecking Larson, but that was a much more egregious. Yeah, that was a different situation. So. And then also it sounds like Wednesday is when we'll hear announcements on if Hendrick does get a penalty. We kind of talked about that a little bit on the recap show Sunday night with those Louviers or whatever that were confiscated. It does sound like there is a potential. So if you remember back to last year at Daytona, RFK and Penske, the Ford teams got caught drilling holes into the tire, something to make it easier to change the tires. Originally, it was a big deal, and then they explained why they did it, how they did it, and now all the teams do it. NASCAR did not fine them for that or anything. There is potential that this is the same kind of situation, so we'll see. But otherwise, we also talked about potential 4-race suspensions for all the crew chiefs, up to 100 points or $100,000 fines. You could get, 100-point suspensions or 100 points docked away or whatever, so be interesting to see. We may know by the time we record the Truck Series episode tomorrow and be able to talk about that more. But watch for that news. I will share that when I see it in the Discord as well.
And we'll definitely have more updates on that Denny Hamlin situation by the time we get to the Cup Series one on Friday as well. Thursday, Friday. I don't know. Whatever day is a day. I don't even know what day today is.
One of the days this week. Who knows?
One of the days. But I do love that he was like, I just let the wheel go. And it was like, go with God. I just let the wheel go. And I said, if we're going to go, we're going to go. But
I mean, I almost hope that I get why they maybe have to penalize them for that. But like, I love that he's got the platform he has now and he's just being honest about it. Like, and I don't want him to have to be reserved about what he says. Because I was looking forward all day. I was like refreshing my feed, waiting for that podcast to drop because I want to hear what he had to say about it. And then it paid off because he just said he wrecked him basically.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is a discussion for another episode, but I do enjoy that, and I hope that the penalty's not as stiff because we need a little more controversy in our lives in NASCAR.
Agreed.
All right, Cody, let's say we get to some bets, shall we? We've got plenty picked out for this race. And I know Cody's still filling out the sheet as far as adding.
I had to get bets. A new piece of a new notebook today, Rod. My other one got full.
Ooh.
So we got some fresh paper over here.
Love it.
With a bunch of statistics on it that I'm going to read off really fast. And let's go.
Beautiful. Let's go. All right, we're going to do that after the break. Let's hit it first and tell you about WynnBet. It's the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WynnBet is now live in Massachusetts and a ton of other states. Be on the lookout for the WynnBet Win Hour each Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. During WynnBet Win Hour, marquee games of the week will have better odds on WynnBet, giving you a larger payout opportunity. And March Madness is here. It's happening right now. So many ways to bet on the big dance. So sign up today. You're going to get a special offer. Bet $100, get $100, limited to state availability. And of course, for our DGens only, like every single one of you out there, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you're going to get a $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from, and all you got to do is head over to WynnBet.com or download the WynnBet app. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at WynnBet.com. Must be 21 or older or present in the state where playthrough WynnBet is available. If you or somebody knows a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. The DGen Dance, our March Madness bankroll contest, is back. It's free to enter, and $1,000 in cash and prizes is up for grabs. Plus, we've got first half under bingo where you can win an SGPN gift card. Enter both contests right now on the SGPN app. So much stuff to bet on, so much money to win. I cannot wait for this race because I want to wash the taste of last week's race out of my mouth quickly. So let's stack up some tickets and let's cash them all this week, shall we?
Yes, that sounds like a great idea, Rod. I'm going to start off with who's quickly becoming a Discord favorite, Riley Herbst. He is matched up with Sheldon Creed. This is minus 110. It's actually minus 120 on the Creed side of things, so Creed is favored, but I really like the Riley Herbst side of things. Riley Herbst, we talk about this almost every week, is a reliable finisher week in and week out, and that is the case at super speedways as well. He's got 6 starts at Talladega. He's got an 11th, a 7th, a 4th in 6 of those starts. He at Daytona, he's finished 6th here just a couple weeks ago in Daytona. He's got a 15th place finish there. 14th place finish, a 10th place finish, and a 4th place finish in 8 starts. And last year at Atlanta, again, the one time we have to compare to this, he finished 9th and 4th at this track. Sheldon Creed, you go to Daytona, he's got 4 starts, 34th, 36th, a 6th, and then another 32nd. You go over to Talladega, 12th in one race, 24th in the other. Now, he did finish 9th and 12th at Atlanta last year, so he survived the chaos and had decent finishes, but he was behind Riley Herbst in both those races anyways. So basically, this is the same argument I would make at any other track. Riley Herbst, reliable to get to the finish. Sheldon Creed, not reliable to get to the finish. Herbst has the much better I lost the word I was looking for there, Rod, but he's got the much better pedigree on the super speedways. My mind just went totally blank. It's late, so I'm going to blame it on that. But no, Riley Herbst, much better track record, I think is what I was going for, at the super speedways than Sheldon Creed. And again, just on a week-to-week basis, much more reliable to finish the races. Of course, yes, like any other super speedway, can get caught up in the shit, but I trust Riley Herbst much more than Sheldon Creed, so I'm going to take him in this head-to-head at minus 110.
You know, I've said it before, and I love my favorite Canadian via California. I really do, but unfortunately, I have watched him just tank it so many times. And then he rebounded last week, and I was like, oh, I want to love you, but I've been burned far too many times. It's like I put myself on a self-proclaimed 10 car in the timeout in the Cup Series. I think I'm putting myself on a 2-car timeout over here. And listen, I raised my fists, and I don't normally champion myself very often because, you know, when you start to get too proud is when you start to fall down even farther. But I loved Riley Herbst right from the beginning of the season. And, you know, I was on him a little early, so I got mocked a little bit, but I took my lumps and I stuck with him, and he's proven that he's can do okay. And I think I'm happy with the results. So I like the Herbst side of this as well. Cody. All right. I am going to take for mine one. So this is me learning on the fly. All right. This is me learning from my mistakes, because last week I said to you, there is no way that I want to take a guy that is not a Xfinity Series regular who has barely done well on any sort of track whatsoever. And he's done okay here and there, but by and large not, over an Xfinity Series regular. So I said, fade Ryan Truex. Well, Ryan Truex pretty much listened to the pod, drove his way to a second place finish last week, and proved me the hell wrong. Well, This week, I am going to go ahead and say to you, I think Ryan Truex will be a top 3 car on this track. And this is where you say, Rod, what? And I say to you, he did it last season. He actually did it in the fall of 2022, where Ryan Truex started in 21st position and drove his way to a 3rd place finish. Now, that says something to me. Also, now look, we said we're not going to take too many Atlantas in our past last season in our consideration, but he has not finished outside of 11th place on this track at all. So I kind of like the fact that he's familiar, or he's comfortable in Atlanta, and he can get some good finishes there. So I'm going to go ahead and say that maybe he'll do it again for me and prove me right this time, as opposed to proving me wrong. In Daytona, as an Xfinity driver, he has only been on this track 4 times. His best finish was 7th in 2018 in Daytona. So again, not the world's best super speedway racer, especially on the Xfinity Series. But again, we saw a little bit of chaos take place last week, and he managed to plow his way through it for a 2nd place finish. I mean, we're prepping for chaos, right? This is our tag phrase for the rest of the season. We're prepping for chaos on Atlanta. Ryan Truex, a top 3 finish. I like the odds on this one as well. It's a plus 380. So I'll take a chance.
Yeah, and we've talked about it before, and I don't have any actual statistics to back this up, but from my viewing part of things, it feels to me like Xfinity ends up being more chalk more often than the other 2 series. Like, you're still going to get long shot winners. Jeremy Clements won at Daytona last year. He was like 150 to 1. So like, it still can happen there, but with the Austin Hill types, and very much reflected in his odds this week, the Justin Haley types that have gone on just streaks and won continuously at these tracks in the Xfinity Series, it does seem like sometimes it's less chaotic in the Xfinity Series than the other 2 series, and things just turn out a little bit more generic wise. And in that case, you have a guy like Ryan Truex. Gibbs has proven to be fast to start the season. That's not been a question. It's been Sammy Smith obviously winning last week, John Hunter Nemechek winning a couple weeks ago. Smith has been fast every week. Truex was fast last week. These Gibbs cars, except for Joe Graff, because he's not good when he gets in those cars, have been fast, and Truex proved it last week. I'm still not a huge fan of betting on anyone with the name Truex at this point in my life, but in this good of equipment for a top 3 at plus 380, you are getting value there for being in that good of equipment. And, even if there is chaos, obviously he could survive and get that. But if it does lend to be less of a chaotic race, I think that gives him an even better chance, because he's just going to have fast equipment that can be up front. So yeah, good value, and I'll back you on that. Next up for me, this one is kind of a toss-up matchup. It's Ryan Sieg over I almost said Harrison, over Jeb Burton. Instead, Harrison's the one that can't drive in the Cup Series. Ryan Sieg over Jeb Burton at minus 105. Just really the price on this is what kind of shocked me. Ryan Sieg these guys are both veterans of this series, but Ryan Sieg is a much better veteran in my opinion. I don't know why Jeb Burton is the favorite in this, because Jeb is minus 125 on the other side of this. So basically for me, this was even money on Ryan Sieg. Ryan Sieg is a great speedway racer, really great. I bet him every single. He's almost my Corey LaJoie, not as good of odds, but my Corey. Well, now maybe, because LaJoie's odds not as good this week. But make sure you go get down on that. I think it's 75 to 1 right now. Make sure you get on that. But anyways, Ryan Sieg, very good consistently at super speedways. Jeb Burton, not bad as well. Honestly, I can't tear a big hole in Jeb Burton like a Sheldon Creed, where he's got a bunch of bad finishes. He's got some solid finishes. Won at Talladega a couple years ago. But Ryan Sieg, consistently good at these tracks. At Daytona, he's got 7 top 10 finishes. His last 5 races at Talladega, a 4th place, 11th, 5th, and 2nd. And then the 2 Atlanta races last season, 15th and 10th. So not quite as good, but survived it, was running at the end. And again, that's 3/4 of the battle right there. But so I'm going to take Ryan Sieg over Jeb Burton There's got too many Burtons, too many Siegs. Because you got Kyle Sieg, you got Ryan Sieg, you got Jeb Burton, Jeff Burton, Ward Burton, Harrison Burton. There's all kinds of Burtons. But no, Ryan Sieg over Jeb Burton, minus 105. Again, if you're going to bet head-to-heads in super speedways, which is tougher to do than at a regular track just because of the variance. If you're getting a guy at plus money or at the more even side of things, or as the underdog, even with the Herbst Creed matchup, Herbst is the underdog at minus 110. I feel like that's automatic built-in value just because it is such a toss-up of anything can happen. But again, somebody I trust more, Ryan Sieg, I trust as much as almost any driver when it comes to a super speedway. So gonna stick with him over Jeb Burton at minus 105.
Yeah, I mean, you once again jumped in the dock early. I was going to find a betting angle on Sieg, but you threw that in there.
That was the first thing I wrote. I just scrolled to the end and wrote Sieg. I didn't even write which one. I knew you would know.
No, I knew exactly what you were talking about. So I was like, well, that takes him off my plate, so I'll just go ahead and move on. But yeah, I do like Sieg over Burton on this one as well. All right, I'm gonna have you guys watching the ticker deep down now. I'm gonna have you guys way down watching. We've said before that the most fun you can have betting this is sweating the 30th place car, and I feel like I'm gonna have you doing something to that effect. Where I've got Brett Moffitt over Kaz Gralla. Now, neither one of these names are names that we bring up very often on this show, and in fact, I don't know that I've ever said the name Brett Moffitt on this program before, but today is the first. This matchup just appeared out of nowhere, and I thought we talk about all of the Allgaiers of the world, we talk about the Smiths of the world, we talk about the Herbsts of the world. We never give any airtime to the Moffitts and the Grallas of the world. So I decided to go ahead and pick Brett Moffitt over Kaz Gralla. Now, Gralla is at plus 100 on this side of it, so if you really wanted to get frisky and take that, I don't know that I'd blame you. But the reason I'm taking Brett Moffitt is just kind of overall what he's done this season. He hasn't been fantastic, but he did have a 9th place finish in California and a 13th place finish last week at Phoenix. His average finish is 18.3 this season. Turn around to Kaz Gralla. His only good finish of the season came in California, a 13th place finish. He averages a 25th place finish so far this season. He finished 32nd at Daytona, whereas Moffitt finished 29th. So he definitely got him there already. Look back at what he's done in Kaz Gralla in Daytona. Daytona, he's got a 4th place, a 5th place finish, and then a 32nd place finish. He only raced 2 races in 2018 and had a 4th and 5th place finish, but he raced in the number 24 car and the number 61 car. This year he's in the 26th, then he got a 31st place finish in that Sam Hunt car. In Talladega, only 2 races there where he finished 20th and 29th. So Kaz Gralla not known for his super speedway prowess. However, Brett Moffitt not necessarily known for that as well either. His average finish in Daytona in 6 career starts is 21.2. He does have a 2nd place finish though at Daytona as an Xfinity driver. Talladega, a little better. His average finish is 16.3 there. He's got a 5th place finish and did that in 2020. And he started 6 times there. So again, I want you ticker watching all the way down. I want you mad that they're not moving to the 31st place car or the 28th place car to see where this matchup is. But I'm going to give Brett Moffitt a little bit of an edge. Like I said, I feel like he's going to be a little better off and a little bit better of a veteran driver in these situations, in these super speedway situations. So I'm going to give the edge to Brett Moffitt.
I have a fun stat for you, Rod.
Ooh,
the 2015 NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year, Brett Moffitt.
Get out of here.
He was racing in 2 different cars. Michael Waltrip racing the number 55, and he was in the front row number 34 car. Split time in both of those cars that season. Actually missed 2 races. He did not race. No, he missed 3 races. Still won the Rookie of the Year. I think he was running unopposed, but I thought that was interesting. He's had such a weird career because he won the Truck Series. So he was Rookie of the Year then, kind of bounced around in the Cup Series, stayed with Front Row in 2015 it was with front row Michael Waltrip 2015. Then he was with BK Racing in 2017, and then back into the Truck Series, won the Truck Series championship in 2018, and then it's like he's just kind of bounced around ever since. He's never really landed back in a good seat. It's been a strange ride, but he is a veteran who's been around a long time. He's a 30-year-old. He's got 91 Truck Series starts, 80 Xfinity Series starts, 45 Cup Series starts. So he's been doing it for a while. And Kaz Gralla, again, kind of an up-and-coming name. He gets, looks good in spurts here and there. But yeah, with the lack of the super speedway experience and results, I'm going to back you on this one and stick with Brett Moffitt.
Sweet. Let's see how many people tail me on that one.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, these are the fun ones to get. Like, if you can get, I wish we could get a matchup every week of like Cody Ware versus BJ McLeod. Like, I would love to bet on that every week and just watch the bottom of the ticker, like you said, and see, you got to wait for it to flip over to the 36th and 35th to see which one's ahead of the other one. But that's great. I love it.
Me too. That's what I'm saying. I was like, look at it. Okay, sure. Yeah, you're showing me the front two runners. That's fine. Show me the 27th place car. I want to see it. I got somebody riding on it.
Exactly. All right, next up for me, I am going to go with two different guys to finish in the top 5. I didn't have enough room for all the bets I liked, so I squeezed 2 into this box. Rod loves it when I do that, but I'll speak quickly. Riley Herbst, already talked about him. Again, solid finisher. Love him. He cashed the top 5 for you last week, almost cashed the top 3. He is plus 350 for a top 5 this week. I like that. He's also plus 700 for a top 3. I'm just going to add that as an official play. Let's make this box a little bigger. Go ahead and take both. Plus 700, great value. Again, you could double dip here. You get the top 5. You could get the top 3. Spoiler alert, I'm going to give him out to win too, so you could triple dip. But Riley Herbst, again, has been pretty consistent. He's, got really good finishes at Daytona, really good finishes at Talladega. Last year at Atlanta, he did finish 4th in the fall race. So the last time we were at Atlanta, he finished 4th place. That's in the top 5. And again, only one spot out of the top 3. You can finish 4th at a super speedway. You can finish 1st. You can finish 2nd. You can finish 3rd. So he could cover both of those. And I had to toss in some Jeffrey Earnhardt love. Love me some Jeffrey Earnhardt. I was so close to adding him as a winner. I couldn't pull the trigger. He is 150 to 1 though, if you're interested. I'm not going to put that out there officially, but might come back and clip this later if it does hit. But for a top 5 finish for Jeffrey Earnhardt, he is at 18 to 1. Again, this is kind of a long shot. This is hoping for some chaos. But we've seen flashes from Jeffrey Earnhardt. Not always the greatest results from him on super speedways, but he does have 5 top 20 finishes at Daytona. That tells me that he can be running at the end in these races. Again, if you're running in the end, that's all that matters. Last year at Atlanta, he finished 19th and 13th. So again, not great finishes, but not horrible finishes. He survived any chaos there was. And a 13th place finish is a decent finish. He's in that Alpha Prime car. Those are not bad cars. We've seen him have some success on super speedways before. Talladega, he had a 2nd place finish there. And he's got 5 top 16 finishes. It was only 4 top 15, so I wanted to throw in that 16th place finish to make it sound a little better. But he does have 5 top 16 finishes there as well. So, again, it's an 18 to 1 for a reason, but he's good got that Earnhardt blood in him. You got to think that something transferred all the way from Grandpa. Dale Earnhardt Sr., of course, is his grandpa. He's got that Earnhardt blood, and they know how to race on super speedways. If there's an Earnhardt race in a super speedway, you got to throw something on him, Rod. And we did have him in that race where he finished 2nd place last season at Talladega. I think he was 100 to 1, 150 to 1 then as well. Boy, so close to hitting that one. That would have been a fun time, but 18 to 1 for the top 5 this week. So I'm going to throw that in there along with the Riley Herbst top 5 at plus 350 and top 3 at plus 700.
Good calls. All of them. And again, I can't really get me on the Daniel Hemrick that's my next one, on the Riley Herbst, because I definitely love me some Riley Herbst. So anywhere you can get Riley Herbst for anything, I say take it, because I very much love Riley Herbst. I think he's just going to have a good day. he's been clean and he's been able to find his way to the front. So I do love that. And Earnhardt, can't argue with your logic there. Obviously, it's an Earnhardt. It's a super speedway. The heart plays what the heart wants to play in this instance. So I love that one as well. Okay, my next bet is Daniel Hemrick. Yay, I'm taking him over young Sam Mayer. And I'm heartbroken to do so because I do, again, love me some Sam Mayer. I think I'm trying to slowly convince Cody that Daniel Hemrick is okay to actually bet on this season. Maybe not for wins.
Not gonna happen.
But at least in some head-to-heads and anything of that nature. It was a rough go last week in Phoenix. He started third, finished 10th, but that was his second 10th place finish in a row. And then he had a 12th place in Fontana. Unfortunately, he crashed out of Daytona this year. But, for Daniel Hemrick on the track here in Atlanta, last season, he finished up with a 5th place finish on this track. Unfortunately, he crashed out of the spring race, so we didn't get to see him there. At Daytona, not the greatest of luck. In fact, the last couple of races he hasn't finished. He was on the damaged vehicle policy in the spring, and he crashed out of this early, like I said, Daytona. But he does have 3 top 10 finishes here as an Xfinity driver. Talladega, actually a little bit of a better track for him, where he's got 3 top 10 finishes in 7 starts, including last fall. He had an 8th place finish. And then in the fall of 2021, he had a 4th place finish here as well. But for Sam Mayer, look, he's had a good start to the season, right? He crashed out of Daytona as well, unfortunately. 2nd in Fontana, 7th in Las Vegas, 11th in Phoenix. But I'm really basing all of mine off of what we've seen, not only here, where last year was abysmal for him. He finished 21st place in the spring in this race and crashed out of the fall race, and he finished 34th on this. Daytona, not been good to Sam Mayer. 27th, 34th, 30th, and 12th in his 4 starts going back to 2021. Talladega, well, he did get 2nd place in the fall race of last year, but before that, 28th, 38th, wrecked out of both of those. Brutal. Sam Mayer does not know how to keep himself clean in super speedway racing. I mean, he did it once, that's fine, but overall, Daniel Hemrick has the much better track record, Cody, when it comes to super speedway racing than does Sam Mayer. And I like this, especially at -110.
Good luck to you, Rod. I will say Sam Mayer was running 2nd at Daytona on the last lap until he ended up upside down. So he was there at least. He's getting better. I heard you say Hemrick crashes a lot. I don't know. That's all I got.
They all do now.
I can't talk myself into him. I mean, I guess if you're going to bet Hemrick, you now is the time to bet him on a super speedway, right? Where anybody can get it done, because we know he can't get it done anywhere else. So maybe maybe this is the week to bet on him. I'll go with that angle. I'm not going to do it. But.
Cody, our beer list is growing, man. There's so many drivers we have to have beers with now. I don't get it. All right.
I'm just saying you got to know where to bet, and you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and you fold them on Daniel Hemrick most of the time. So,
all right.
Next up for me, Parker Kligerman, another guy I love to bet on super speedways. I got him to win Group D at +360, and I also have him to get a top 5 finish at +400. I probably should have had the Group D pulled up, but I'm quickly doing so. It's Sheldon Creed, it's Brandon Jones, it's Riley Herbst, and it's Parker Kligerman in this group. Kligerman is +360. He is the least favored in this one. Sheldon Creed already made a case against him. He's not great at super speedways. Brandon Jones, he's good at super speedways, but he's had a horrible start to the season, so you can't trust him right now. Riley Herbst, I did make the case for him. I like him. This is a good way to hedge that, though, because if something does happen to him, opens up the Parker Kligerman thing, and really, Kligerman could finish well, and so could Riley Herbst, and he could cash all of it. So, Parker Kligerman +360 to win this group, and for the top 5 finish at +400. Looking back at his statistics, Talladega last season, he finished in 6th place. His previous Xfinity Series start at Talladega was in 2013, but he finished 6th then as well. And then his other Xfinity start was 2010. He wrecked out then and finished 31st. Daytona finished 23rd in the spring. If you remember going back to that race, though, they were very, very single file at the end of that race. And every time you looked up, that 48 car was looking for friends. He'd pop out of line. Nobody ever wanted to go with him. But he's not afraid to make those moves, and he did it 5 or 6 times. It cost him, and he went to the back and finished in 23rd eventually. But he is willing to make those moves, and he'll be aggressive when he needs to be, which you need to be on super speedways sometimes, especially if you want to get these finishes. So hopefully these guys learn from that, because if you remember, that race was just so weird where they just strung out and nobody ever formed up. And then the last lap they form up, and then all the JRM cars wreck each other, and Sam Mayer flips over, and it was just a strange ending. But hopefully they'll be more aggressive this time. Maybe that's why things finish more chalky in Xfinity. They're good with riding around. But Kligerman, good on super speedways. You go back to the Truck Series last season. He finished 5th at Daytona, 9th at Talladega. He did not run Atlanta last year in either series. So he's not been on this track in this package or with the super speedway style yet, but plus 360. I like him to win that group, plus 400 for the top 5. Kligerman, another guy I just really love betting on when it comes to super speedway racing.
You love some Parker Kligerman. Like I almost need to cue up the harp for Kligerman every time you bring him up. So
yeah,
I won't.
And if it seems like I'm sometimes just hitting on the same guys every time we go to super speedways, because that can be the case in some of these cases, there's probably a good reason for it, because I've probably won money from them, maybe even multiple times. And you just sometimes you keep going back to the well that feeds you, and that is, if it's paying off, why change? Why fix what's not broken, Rod?
Look, the mission statement for this show has always been to help you win money. If it's entertaining along the way, that's fantastic. But I mean, listen, the whole goal of this show is to hopefully get you to win some money. So if we know that somebody's a good bet, we're going to tell you the good bet. We're not going to try to be flashy just for flashy's sake. I mean, that's just, I think you've learned through 130 episodes that we love to have fun and talk about it. But bottom line is we want to win you money. So we take it personally when we don't get to. You think that we just, out here cranking out episodes, but boy, I tell you, behind the scenes, we've hit each other over the head a few times. Man, I'm a little bit sad that we didn't cash some tickets for folks this week.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's heartbreak for us, right along as it is with you.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If we bring up the same names, it's because they're the reliable ones to win us money. And then, of course, we do get flashy with a little bit of Brett Moffitt and Kaz Gralla. But again, that should probably win you some money as well. Decent amount.
Exactly.
All right. Listen, what do they say in fantasy football? Never chase points from last week. Well, in racing, momentum is everything. All right. And we've seen it, especially last week in the Cup Series, where we saw William Byron once again ride his way to a second win. And obviously we'll talk about that in the Cup, but I'm chasing points this time, and I'm going to pick Sammy Smith over Josh Berry. Obviously we know that Sammy Smith won last week. But for Josh Berry, it's not been what we hoped it had been. We were hoping for wins. And this is the mark of a person that we really were high on coming into the season, because he's only finished outside of the top 10 once this season, and that was it at Daytona to start the year. Since then, a 5th place at Fontana, 5th place at Las Vegas, 8th place at Phoenix. That's not a bad year. Any other driver probably in the bottom half, Brett Moffitt would love a statistical year like this. But for Josh Berry, he wants to win races, and it's not happening for him. And in fact, if you go back last season, he did have a 2nd place finish here in the fall, but he had a 33rd place finish in the spring. He crashed out of that first iteration of the race. Going back to Daytona and Josh Berry, I mean, he's a junior motorsports car. You would think that they would be fantastic at super speedways. His average finish at Daytona as an Xfinity driver is 21.8. He had a 26th place in just this last race to start the season, 18th place last fall, 16th place in 2022 in the spring, and a 27th in his first attempt here in the spring of 2021. He crashed out of that. Talladega, a little better. He had a 5th place finish last fall, an 11th place finish in the spring, 9th, and then a 31st place in his first attempt at this as well. Sammy Smith, fun fact, has never been on Talladega as an Xfinity Series driver. He does have 2 starts on Daytona. He had a 19th place finish, obviously finishing better than did Josh Berry to start the season, and then a 38th place finish in his first attempt on this. Atlanta, again, he's never been on this track as an Xfinity driver, so this will be his first time out, but he got a good taste of restrictor plate, of super speedway driving in Daytona, and didn't do that badly. Obviously won his first race. It's been a fast car, right? I mean, he's hovering around the top 15 until last week when he finally broke through, but I might be done. And winning is contagious, and being up front is contagious. You get your first win, like Cody always says, it's a little bit easier to get that second. It's a little bit easier to run up front. So I think Sammy Smith may have something figured out. He's going to be in contention, I think, for the better part of this race. Josh Berry will be too, but I think by the end of it, Sammy may kind of parlay what he learned last week into a better finish in Atlanta.
Yeah, I like it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. said today on his Dale Jr. download that they've had some speed in those cars, but they really need to work harder and find better speed in those JRM cars. The Joe Gibbs cars have been rocket ships in the Xfinity Series, not so much in the Cup Series, but in the Xfinity Series, they have been fast. The JRM guys, we've seen them wreck each other out, I think, in every single race so far this season. So
they're playing pinball with each other. I don't know, like upper cars.
That's got to play into these super speedway races where you're supposed to be working with your teammates. You're supposed to be drafting together, but we even saw it at Daytona. They were running like 2, 3, 4, 5, and nobody finished a race because they all wrecked each other. And so if you're going to continue to get that, if is Sam Mayer going to want to work with Josh Berry, or is Josh Berry going to want to work with Sam Mayer after Sam Mayer spun him last week? All this stuff is going to play in. These guys might not have as much help as you would expect on a week-to-week basis. Sammy Smith, again, has that momentum, so I don't hate this one. Even though, a couple weeks ago, you'd have been like, ooh, Josh Berry, like you're going to take him, you're going to take Sammy Smith over him, but now I don't think that it's a bad thing at all.
Sweet.
Next up for me, some more Ryan Sieg bets. I've got him for a top 3 at 17-1, a top 5 at 7-1. Already read off all the statistics. But again, you look back last year, 15th and 10th in those 2 races here. That's not 5th. No, but it's in the top 10. It's not that far from 5th. Again, you can be running in 10th. You can be running in 5th. Last 5 finishes at Talladega. This shows you his super speedway prowess. 4th place, an 11th, a 5th, and a 2nd. So in 4 of those last 5 at Talladega, you would be cashing this top 5 at 7-1. And then again, going back to Daytona, he's got 7 top 10 finishes there. He is a guy that can be running up near the front. And again, we're not getting top 10s. I don't know why in Xfinity Series. Again, they're scared because we would probably eat them alive with Riley Herbst every week. But it just, I don't know. But so we get the top 5s at a plus 700 for a guy that consistently finds himself finishing in the top 10, finishing in the top 15 at these tracks with plenty of top 5 finishes, plenty of chances at wins. Hasn't quite got to victory lane just yet on a super speedway, but it's coming soon. Love these ones for Ryan Sieg. And then again, 17-1 for the top 3. If you can get in the top 5 at that 7-1, you can get in the top 3 for 17-1, and then that's a double dip for you. That's a real nice payday.
All it takes is for a couple of those Junior Motorsports cars at the front to touch their fenders, and next thing you know, anybody riding behind him is about to bump up another couple of spots. So,
and that's the nice thing too about this. You could not pick the winner this weekend, and Ryan Sieg finishes in 3rd place, and you cash a 17-1 and a 7-1. Like, it doesn't. You'd like to hit some more of these other ones, but that's going to pay for a majority of your day right there.
Yeah, I love it. All right, I'm going to go. They didn't have a winning car number over under. They had a winning car odd or even. So if all of Super Speedway is a coin flip, give me the plus money side of the coin flip.
I was
right?
going to take this one. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I love
I
it.
feel
And-
better now that the number king has declared.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it's plus 105 on this side of it. It was like minus 110 or something on the other side. So if, like I said, if everything's a coin flip on a super speedway, let's flip the coin and hope it lands on our side of it. Who is an odd number? You ask me. Well, Sam Mayer is in that one car. Justin Allgaier. Those are two strong junior motorsports cars who, if they don't wreck each other out, I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. If they don't wreck each other out, they stand a chance to win. We always know Justin Allgaier is a threat to win anywhere, anytime. And I'm surprised neither one of us actually, spoiler alert, have him, but he's a threat. So that one car, the 7 car, the 11 car of Daniel Hemrick, who I don't think Cody would ever bet on him, but hell, if he crosses the finish line and cashes this, then we're good to go there on several occasions. Ryan Truex in the 19, Austin Hill in the 21, Brett Moffitt in the 25, Jeb Burton in the 27, Parker Retzlaff in the 31, and then Joey Gase in the 35. This is where you start to get a little bit. Ryan Sieg in the 39, Ryan Ellis in the 43, and let's see, Sage Karam in the 45, Jeremy Clements in the 51. We saw that happen
at
already.
Daytona, yep.
Right, Patrick Emmerling in the 53, and then Chad Chastain in the 91. Those are your odd number cars. Again, at the top of that list, there's a lot more juice. And then, of course, we know that that we've already got a couple of folks we talked about earlier that are in that odd range that pose a threat. So, yeah, give me odd. There's plenty of odd numbers in there that I like, and I like the odds at plus 105.
Yeah, and the reason I almost took this one was just what you said. I mean, it's plus money on a track where almost anybody can win. Why not take the plus money side of things? I'm looking through my list of winners. Spoiler alert, I've got 4 of them. 3 of them are even numbered cars. So this is a nice hedge off of that. So yeah, there is that. And I mean, you're getting Austin Hill. That alone, I mean, he is the favorite by a lot. We haven't got to the winner odds yet, but it's Austin Hill at the top plus 450. And then Justin Haley, the Cup Series regular, is next at plus 800. Like, it's plus 400 for a super speedway winner. Like, they gifted us Austin Hill at 20-1 the last couple of weeks. I was hoping they wouldn't have it this good because he's freaking good on these tracks, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But man, I mean, just the fact that you're getting him right there, and then plenty of other names in there that could easily win this. And again, the coin toss race, take the plus money on the coin toss.
I agree. All right. Well, we'll get to the winners. Let's get to those winners. We'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll get to our winners as we always do. But before we do, let us tell you about Underdog Fantasy, because we are also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is heating up for March Madness. College Pick'em is a great way to get in on the action, especially if your bracket is already busted right now after day one. Plus, Underdog Fantasy has your favorite college basketball player props. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. And for those of you who have helped to make our YouTube channel a fun experience, we've gone live a couple of times, had a blast, and we're going to continue to do so. Just thank you for helping this channel grow, helping make it to what it is. The bosses are taking notice. They're starting to enjoy what they're seeing and hearing about the YouTube channel. So thank you very much. Continue to hit that like button, continue to smash that little bell, and let everybody know to do the same. That way they know when we go live. And I lose steam during this read, as I'll always do. But please love us, and please do stuff for us. Cody, take it away.
Please love us.
Please love us. Can you tell that I was, not necessarily loved as a child? I just please love us.
Well, I love you, Rod. So there's that.
Thank you. Like us, by the way. That's what I really want.
Yes, all those things that Rod said, I fully agree with all of them.
Please like us. Please love us. Give me validation. Oh, man. All right. Somebody's got to win this race, Cody. Who's going to do it?
Somebody's got to win this race, Rod. Again, super speedway racing. I like to do it like the first touchdown bets. Spread it out. Anybody can win these. Get some good odds. Get some guys at the top of the board. I looked at the very top, Austin Hill. It was tempting. But Justin Haley at 8-1, I felt like was better value in my opinion. Justin Haley has dominated on super speedways in his Xfinity career when he was a regular. He has 2 wins at Daytona and a second place finish there. In 10 starts, 5 of them have been in the top 5 where he's finished. Talladega, he's got 5 career starts at Talladega in the Xfinity Series. He's never finished worse than 8th, and he's won twice. He did not race in this race at Atlanta last season or in the Xfinity Series at all. But he is really freaking good at super speedways in the Xfinity. I mean, in the Cup Series as well, but in the Xfinity Series specifically. And I was trying to look up his results in the Cup Series. Even he finished 11th here in the spring, and in the fall race he finished 7th. So I mean, that goes to show you in the Cup Series, even he's got good results here, and just absolutely dominant on super speedways in the Xfinity Series throughout his career. So had him again at Daytona. He didn't have as good of a race as I had hoped. Wasn't as many moves to be made. Again, we talked about how everybody was kind of being conservative. But I feel like Riley Herbst is too, but I feel like Justin Haley is probably the second best plate racer. Maybe you could make an argument for the best, but in this Xfinity Series race this weekend, he is really good. He's going to be up there. Again, he could get caught up in the chaos, but I have a feeling you see Justin Haley towards the front almost all day, and putting himself in position to win this race. And if it comes down to it, he knows how to win them. He has done it time and time again on these tracks. So I'm going to ride the Justin Haley wave and again, 8-1. I thought that the odds would be flipped, maybe not quite as low as Austin Hill is, but as good as Austin Hill has been to start this season, and that's probably why he won at Daytona as well, and he's been really great on super speedways. But Justin Haley, with his past here and being a Cup Series driver, I would have put him at the top of the board. So I feel like you're getting a pretty good deal on him at 8-1.
Yeah, you actually, Austin Hill, 2 wins at Daytona, 2 wins at Talladega in his Xfinity career. So definitely has gotten it done. And in fact,
they're 1A and 1B on super speedways.
Yeah, when you go back through Justin Haley's Xfinity results, he's never finished outside of the top 10 in his 5 starts in the Xfinity race here. So yeah, back-to-back wins in 2020. And yeah, like you said, just completely dominant, especially on Talladega in particular.
Yeah, love it. Next up for me, I have Riley Herbst plus 2,500. So 25-1 to win for Riley Herbst. I've made the case. The only thing that concerns me is Riley Herbst aggressive enough to win the race, Rod. That is the only thing that holds me up a little bit, but he's a Discord favorite. I know everybody in the Discord loves him. I can't pass it up. I can't not give it to him for those guys. So shout out to those guys. But I found 4 different ways to bet on Riley Herbst in this race. That should show you how much I like him this weekend. I want to see that aggression at the end, and maybe the non-aggression is what is so good to put him up there. So we need him to be non-aggressive until the last 2 laps, maybe, and then pull out that aggression. The question came up on our recap show last week. Will Riley Herbst ever win a race? If he's going to, super speedway is the best chance he's got at it. Maybe he can get it done somewhere else eventually, but super speedway is his best chance to do it. Would love to see Riley Herbst do it. I know that the Discord will be absolutely wild on Saturday if he does win. So I'm going to be rooting for that personally. Parker Kligerman, 30-1. Again, another guy I've already made the case for. And again, you make the case for these guys to finish in these top 5s, these top 3s, win these groups. If they can do all of that, they can win the race as well. So, I mean, if Riley Herbst wins this race, you're going to win the head-to-head. You're going to hit him at the top 5 at plus 350. You're going to hit him at the top 3 at plus 700. And you're going to hit him at 25-1 to win the race. Same thing with Parker Kligerman. You got the top 5 at plus 400. You got the winner of Group D at plus 360. If he wins the race as well, 30-1. Again, these are your educated guesses on who can survive the chaos best, who's the best at navigating this stuff, who can put themselves in position, who can get these wins. I like Parker Kligerman to do that at 30-1. And Ryan Sieg, I can't ever pass him up on a super speedway. 60-1. They're still disrespecting this man. Hasn't quite gotten that super speedway win yet. But maybe Atlanta is the day. 60-1. Can't pass it up. So just a quick recap. Justin Haley, 80-1. Riley, 80-1, I wish.
Woo.
Let's try that again. Justin Haley, 8-1. Riley Herbst, 25-1. Parker Kligerman, 30-1. Ryan Sieg, 60-1. Like your first touchdown bets in football. Split up that unit however you want to. Split it in two, whatever. I don't care what you do, but bet on those 4 guys.
Indeed. Well, I'll throw 2 more onto that pile, and I will go Austin Hill. I know you talked about, you wish that number was higher. I do too, but at some point you kind of have to take it if you're going to take it. Like Austin Hill at plus 400, he's 4-1. Obviously the favorite for an absolute 100% reason, and that's because, well, I think I took him for granted to start the year, and I got bit. He won Daytona after starting from the pole. He started from the pole in Fontana, finished 6th. He started in 9th place in Las Vegas and finished 1st. Last week in Phoenix, he started 8th and finished 7th, but he did lead 22 laps in that race as well. The dude's averaging a 3.8 place finish on the season. Woo, as the Xfinity Series results in Daytona, he's got 2 wins on that track in 4 races. In Talladega, not the best. He started on the pole last fall, finished 14th, crashed out of the first other 2, but he's got momentum this season for sure. And there's a reason why he's at plus 400, right? I mean, there's a reason why the odds are so short on him, and it's not sexy. But if you were talking about a plus 400 bet in any other sport, you would be absolutely thrilled to take that on a shot where this guy's probably got a fantastic shot to win the race. Oh, plus 450 now. So see, the odds are ever in your favor and moving up now.
Shop around.
Shop around. So plus 450 for Austin Hill if you shop around. So I love that. I mean, I got a little bit better. But again, there's a reason why he's where he's at, and he's been dominant this season to the point where, I wouldn't be surprised if he did come out and win this race, as he's done in Daytona a couple of times before. And just, like I said, it's something to look at because very well Austin Hill has the opportunity to do it. In fact, he did win in 2022. He won this race in the fall and finished 2nd in the spring. So both times he's been out on this track in its configuration now, then he's done very well for himself there as well. So yeah, Austin Hill's a favorite for a reason. Sometimes you just have to go ahead and lay it and know that it's probably going to hit for you. And then I'm throwing in the long shot of Ryan Truex. I say the long shot, but he's 14-1. It's not necessarily the longest of shots. It's not Cody sexy long, but I think Ryan Truex is a decent enough dart throw on a track like this. Talked about him when we were talking about him in the top 3. He did finish 3rd place here last fall, but he finished 9th in the 2018 race and then 11th in the 2011. They're not a huge track record here, but we're prepping for chaos, and I think if Ryan Truex is going to run inside the top 3, as Cody has alluded to several times over, if you can run in the top 3 here, you can win the race. So and plus he's in Gibbs equipment this week, right? I mean, he's in that 19 car, he's in Gibbs equipment. We talked about how Gibbs are lightning fast this season and good at super speedway racing, and if he's in that equipment, there's no reason why he doesn't have a shot to be up front.
Yeah, the Austin Hill pick, again, he's the best or one of the best. Him and Justin Haley, again, the 2 guys at these super speedways. If it ends up being like a Daytona race, we saw Austin Hill win that, right? Very non-chaotic at the very front. I mean, you had the Sam Mayer flip there on the last lap, but Hill put himself in position to be up front. I think, did he win? He won one of the races here last season, I believe. But he's a Georgia kid. He so he's local. This means a lot to him. I could see him putting himself out front and just never looking back. Let them take each other out behind him, and just he's up front all day long. I think we could easily see that from him. So I like it. I still have a policy against betting on Truex's, so I'll leave that one for you and everyone else. But yeah, I like it. I feel good about these.
Yeah, well, he led 73 laps in that race in Atlanta last fall, out of the 163. So he was pretty dominant.
Yeah. And that was the same way. Yeah. And then we saw Chase Elliott do the same thing in the Cup Series side of things. So this track, a little more than Daytona and Talladega, can get you to where you have just one guy maybe up front more. It's not as easy to pass and get those lines going as Daytona and Talladega. There's still going to be plenty of it. There's going to be a lot of side-by-side action. But if somebody can get up front and play the Pied Piper and lead the field, it's a guy like Austin Hill that's going to do
it. Indeed. All right. Let's get your pen and paper out. We're going to go over the bets for you as we head into Atlanta, Hotlanta, as the kids call it. Cody started you out with Riley Herbst over Sheldon Creed at -110. I gave you Ryan Truex as a top 3 driver at +380. Cody gave you Ryan Sieg over Jeb Burton at -105. Remember that, the Ryan Sieg part, not the other Sieg. I gave you Brett Moffitt over Kaz Grala at -130. Cody said throw everything you have at everything and hope it sticks, but gave you Riley Herbst as a top 5 at +350. Herbst as a top 3 car at +700, and Jeffrey Earnhardt as a top 5 car at +1800. I said Daniel Hemrick was going to finish better than Sam Mayer at -110. Cody gave you Parker Kligerman as the winner of Group D. Go find out what Group D is at +360, and a top 5 car at +400. I gave you Sammy Smith over Josh Berry at -110. Cody said Ryan Sieg was going to finish in the top 5 at +700, and then gave you a top 3 bet in there as well at +1700. I said the winning car was going to be odd as we flipped the coin at +105. And then Cody gave you Justin Haley at 8-1, Riley Herbst at 25-1, Kligerman at 30-1, Sieg at 60-1 to win the race. I gave you Austin Hill at +450 and Ryan Truex at +1400 to win the Raptor King of Tough 250 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway over there in Hampton, Georgia. Cody, it's race weekend, damn it. It's super speedway racing in the beginning of the season. That's not at Daytona and Talladega. We're fixing to have some fun.
Yes, we are. I know a lot of people don't like it. I'm glad Atlanta is a super speedway now as well. So we get six, at least in the Cup Series, 6 trips to these tracks instead of just 4. I like the added super speedway fun. And I think that as this track continues to go, it'll wear out and make for a worn out super speedway surface, which will be interesting and different from just based on how it's laid out and all that. But that's for another day. I do want to say it is officially past midnight here in the Central Time Zone. So happy birthday to you, Mr. Rod. I would like to be the first to wish you. I know it's still not your birthday in California there, but it is here, so I'll go with it.
Well, time zones are funky things. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So yes, it is my birthday somewhere. So thank you very much, Cody. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I'm gonna be editing with a warm and fuzzy feeling in my belly now.
Well, I will be going to bed and dreaming about you while you're editing.
That's the first time anybody's ever said that to me. Discord's gonna have fun with that one. All right, Cody. So as we get punch drunk here in the wee hours of the night, why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on social media?
Yes, and books, if you're listening, give us some damn truck odds. Still nothing out. It's ridiculous. Anyways, at Husker_Zeeb is where you can find all my work. Check us out on the F1 Gambling Podcast. F1's back at Saudi Arabia this week, so we'll be recording another episode over there, trying to make some money. And join us hopefully tomorrow for Truck Series if they get their shit together.
Telling you, we're this much closer to just making our own damn odds and going from there. We'll start our own friggin' book. We don't need you. We'll be I don't know what we'll call ourselves, but we'll make it happen. So, all right, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio to everything I got going on. Whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, whether it is in between media, it's all right there at your fingertips. Like Cody said, come back tomorrow. Hopefully there'll be some truck odds. I don't know. We'll make them up if we don't have them. Until then, thanks for watching it on Facebook. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.